Hi, I'm Andrea.
Hey y'all, this is Courtney, and welcome to the Human Design and Liberation podcast.
This is a space where we explore how human design and liberation theology intersect with the past, present, and future.
With the intent of sharing the beauty and pain of the human experience to encourage you in your liberation journey.
We're back. Hi.
Here.
Echo.
So happy to be back.
Me too. Me too. I'm excited for today. I hope this episode gives people a lot of permission.
Mm-hmm.
That's my hope.
Yes. Yes.
So, shall we dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, this episode is about consistency
Mm-hmm.
and what we think exactly in air quotes and about what we think about consistency and why we think it,
hmm
and then offering a new interpretation.
Yes. Yep. We're talking about the idea of consistency, the demand for consistency by our current society and what that's rooted in, the impact of that on our bodies and our souls, um, what we were actually made for instead,
Yes.
and how, of course, human design and liberation, theology and psychology, what they have to say about that and how they can support us back to something that's more generative.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So this topic came up because part of my deconditioning journey, and I know this has been part of yours too, Courtney,
Mm,
is repairing the relationship that I have with my body
yes.
and coming to understand my body in a new way. And so,
hmm
one of the things that we know about the body is that it heals through movement. Movement is part
Yes.
of how the body integrates and embodies. And, these are topics that we hear Reshma Minikim and so many people in the liberation space talk about.
hmm
Um,
hmm
and a big boulder that I bump up into every time is
yeah.
body shame, and
Mm,
it's really rooted in anti-blackness. So this is something that really smacked me between the eyes in 2020 when I was diving really deep into Ibram X's work. And he was the first person who really connected the dots for me around um, the anti-fatness
mm,
systemic issues in our
yeah.
society and anti-blackness. And
Yes.
that really was such a helpful clarification to really help me release another layer of
Yeah.
a body shame, but also conditioning around what it means to be healthy and
Yeah.
the role of fat and what it means to have so many different body sizes. And man, the healing that initiated for me, I cannot even tell you. We need to pull Ivermex's chart. Um,
Yes, we do. We do.
wow. Just so beautiful. So I was, I have gate 15, which is the gate of extremes. And it is
Oh.
it is my unconscious earth.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it's real high in my chart, very influential. And so the gate of extremes is also one of the love gates. It is the love of the
Mm,
earth. It's the love of the planet, which I deeply feel. And, you know, I'm processing this real time. The planet goes through extremes. And so
yes.
there's a little bit of like a reflection there of needing to go through extremes. So, I recently was feeling really stuck in my body, and I knew it was because we went through a big move last fall and then had
Mhm.
wave after wave of sickness. And
Yeah.
I haven't been able to tend to my body the way that she likes to be tended to. And it's
Yeah.
really just like, it's just moving. It really doesn't matter. Like, it could be dancing,
Yeah.
it could be walking, it could be, you know, different modalities of classes. There's so
Mhm.
many things. Like, my body does not care. It just wants to move. Um, doesn't care. So, I was like getting over the flu that we had a couple weeks ago and kind of feeling that itch of like my body wants to move, but I'm not fully healthy. I'm still coughing.
Yeah.
And like my inner being, my inner wise one was like, you need to just start moving. It's going to help you clear the rest of this. And so I did.
Yeah.
I went out for a walk in the nature preserve that's right next to our house and it felt so good. And then while I was on that walk, I had this like, oh, it's about a month before your birthday. What if you moved every day before your birthday? And
Mm.
that felt really good. And so I was like, okay, like that feels really good. Let's do it. And so I have been, and today is day 15, which
Oh, wow.
feels really good. Yeah. And I think I was like 7 or 8 days into it when I messaged you because
Mhm.
what works for me is not consistency. Like, you would look at, okay,
Mm.
you've done 15 days in a row. But
Yeah.
if you look at what I've done, it is not consistent.
Ah, okay. I see what you're saying.
So, like, it might be a walk in the nature preserve right after I drop my kids off, or it might be going to the Y like 45 minutes before I have to go get the kids,
Mhm.
or it's all over the place what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's not like a specific time, it's not a specific place,
No,
type of
no,
movement, nothing.
nothing. Like,
Mm.
sometimes it's me doing Sada Simone's somatic wild dancing thing for an hour,
I love.
or the other day I just did 20 minutes. Like, it's everything varies. There's so
Wow.
much variation. And
Mhm.
so what came in for me is that it's really this idea of consistency is so harmful
Yeah.
fundamentally because it negates differentiation.
Yes. Absolutely.
Like, we are
Absolutely.
not all designed to go to the gym every day or
Mhm.
to run every day or to bike every day. Like, each of us has to figure out what it is that works for us through our experiment. What we can say is that everybody is designed to move.
Yeah.
Everybody's designed to move. All of our bodies need movement to process, but that movement needs to be a unique expression of what works for you.
Right.
So, that's where the idea for this came from, but it really applies to everything.
Mm.
We're both entrepreneurs. We're both moms. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many different ways that this word creeps in, and it's basically taken over as the C word for me. Like, I just really don't like it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it literally is a supremacy delusion way of controlling. So where it
Mm.
comes from is um this capitalistic idea that we can be an ever never ending summer, right? That
Right.
we can
Right, right, right.
produce the same way every day over and over again. And I have been so steeped in this culture. I mean, I studied Six Sigma. I'm a Six Sigma black belt. I studied lean
Wow.
manufacturing. I did standard work. I created standard work in manufacturing environments. So I've like really
Wow.
been, again, I have the gay to extremes. I've done a lot of weird
You don't know.
things. I've done weird things. I haven't done it all, but I've done a
And you're
lot.
6 line.
And I'm a six line. So this is all in my first 35 years. So I look back at that and I just see the deep harm that
Mm.
is seated in it. And
Mhm.
the roots of it are really to maximize extraction.
Yep. 150%.
And that is so deeply harmful. Now, I do know that there are spaces where um, individuals are being honored in different ways,
Mm,
it really depends on the management and whatever. But and also at the end of the day, I don't believe that there's a standard work practice that doesn't dehumanize. And so I don't
wow.
believe that that practice is something that will be able to continue to exist post 2027. It's definitely something we're going to see fall apart. Not that it has ever been very effective because
No.
the standard deviation on those practices is really wild. Like
Yeah. And also,
like
you have to enforce them through consistent violence. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
absolutely.
funny that I even
Absolutely.
say I use the word consistent in that moment because the whole idea of
Ever present violence.
capitalism, ever-present violence, but I think it or surveillance, I think is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You
surveillance.
have to you have to, enforce consistency with surveillance.
Yeah. 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 And so I think the interesting thing is, and this is why human design is helpful, is because some people are designed to be consistent.
Mhm,
So if you are one of those people, if you have gate 5 in your chart, especially in a prominent placement, if you have
mm,
a defined heart, if you have strategic variable, these are
mhm,
all
mhm.
areas where you are designed to have some consistent energy towards something.
Yeah.
So that can look like quote unquote consistency.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
really what it is the design for something to look similar on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So things like having the same morning routine every day,
Mhm.
or having the same breakfast every day, or getting up at the same time every day. Those are things that might come naturally to you. And
Yeah.
that's awesome. But I think what's helpful is recognizing that not everybody has that.
Right.
And depending on the ways that it shows up, like likely there's some tension.
Right.
There's some availability for consistency, and then there's some disruption or some tension in your chart. And
Mhm.
likewise, if you're like me and you have gate 15, you like variety. If you have an undefined heart, if
I'm
you have
looking
a
at my chart right now to see if I have it.
if you have a defined solar plexus, if you have receptive variables, these are all
Mm.
aspects that create variability and create
Mm.
um, sometimes wide ranges of variability. And so, um, having an expectation that you will feel the same way or approach something the same way every day
Yeah.
is not, doesn't honor the true essence of you. And so,
Right.
it's automatically going to throw you into your not self.
Right. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It's very not self
Yeah,
because it's determined by something external to your body's inclination.
exactly. Exactly. So, one of the ways that we can think about this is that because we all want certain outcomes, right? Like
Mhm. Mhm.
um, we all want certain outcomes, whatever that might be, right? It
Yeah.
might be
Mm.
some reliability in your schedule, or it might
Mm.
be, to complete certain projects, or it might be, there's just so many ways that it can show up. There are things
Well,
that
it
we
makes me
want to
think of our
accomplish.
signature. It
Yes.
makes me think of our signatures, right? Like you, as a projector, you want to feel successful. You know, I'm a generator. I want to feel satisfied. I want to feel satisfied with my day, with my
Yeah.
output, with where my energy's going. And so, there's definitely material things attached to that, but it's whatever it is very deeply rooted in our signature.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if we think about devotion to those
Mm,
outcomes as opposed to consistency,
yep.
then we start talking about something that will honor our differentiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this movement thing for me is a great example. I'm devoted to figuring this out. Like I am very intentional with I want to figure this out and I'm already feeling this is going to be beyond the 30 days.
Mm,
Because feel so much I feel so much better when I'm closing those stress cycles. One of the
mm.
concepts that is introduced in it's a book about burnout, and we'll put it in the show notes. I'll
Ooh,
find it.
yeah.
But it's this concept of movement, especially like something that causes you to break a sweat.
Mhm.
It closes stress cycles in your body. And so
Wow.
think of it as like your browser has like 100 tabs open.
Oof. Yep.
And when you break a sweat, when you break a sweat, your body literally goes back and closes those tabs. And so you
Ooh.
come out of the workout with like 5 tabs open instead of 100.
Mm,
Um and so there's a bunch of neurological reasons for that that they go into in the book. And I do think it connects back with my grandmother's hands and so much of what Reshma has explored and other somatic workers, somatic abolitionists are exploring. But one of the things that we know about white supremacy delusion is the goal, and this predates enslavement. This predates,
mhm,
goes back to Western Europe. It goes back to the feudal days. And
mhm.
the goal was to keep people out of their bodies. Because if you're in your
Mm.
body, then you have sovereignty.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so
That hits.
when we look at the colonization of Christianity and how the indigenous spiritual practices were attacked,
Mhm.
those indigenous spiritual practices were things like herbalism and
Yeah.
honoring the earth cycles, honoring the lunar cycle. Those are all things that bring you into your body because your
The
body
menstrual
knows
cycle,
the
very
menstrual
attacked.
cycle. Absolutely. And those are all practices that bring you into your body.
Mhm,
And so if we're not including the body in our abolition work, in our liberation work,
mhm.
then we're never going to get very far.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I definitely, this is so good. I also wanna bring up one other author that I have, enjoyed their work very much, Sabrina Strings, who wrote Fearing the Black Body: The Racial Origins of Fat Phobia, and
Mm,
we'll add that in the show notes as well, but, yeah, that is a book to read. It is very, um, visceral, very striking, and I would also add in that Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall.
absolutely.
Um, she also brings a really important, angle to this conversation, um, because you're exactly right. Like, our bodies I thought about this as I was grieving, a really, really, really important loss in my life, that there are certain things that our bodies know and will express that our minds, no matter how much we've been told, no matter how intellectual we are, um, it will override that. Like, your
Absolutely.
body will override what your intellect, your mind, your rationale.
Absolutely.
And this was the first time that I actually recognized it as wisdom, as opposed to
Mm,
being frustrated towards it
mhm.
as some sort of, like, undermining
Oof.
behavior,
Yeah.
right? Like, being raised in Protestant evangelical spaces, that's what I was taught, that my body's language, my body's wisdom was the intentionality of it was to undermine my my intellectual and even my spiritual
Oh, absolutely.
understanding of the world,
Absolutely. I mean,
undermine my
when you
eternity, you know?
yeah, like, it's just it's present in so many ways, and
Mhm.
for anyone listening who is still being conditioned by an idea that your body is not holy, that your
Mm,
body is not all knowing, that your body is not trustworthy, then
yeah.
I highly, highly, highly recommend Ibram X's book, Stamped from the Beginning. I think
Mhm.
that is a fantastic place to start. And also Sonia Renee Taylor's book, The
Oh,
Body
yeah.
is Not an Apology. I
Oh,
feel like
yes.
between those 2 books, like, you will be held and broken open and supported in understanding just how incredibly amazing our bodies are.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
look at what Ra had to say about the body, I mean, his whole premise is if we can get out of our heads and into our bodies,
Mhm.
then we will literally save humanity.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
it sounds grandiose and it sounds a little bit ridiculous, but and also, like, the body knows. The body absolutely knows.
It knows.
And the bodies, when we're in our bodies, when we are in an embodied place, we are
Mhm.
not coming from fear. We are
Yeah.
not coming from lack or
Mhm. Mhm.
this survival place. When the body is held and taken care of, we're able to come from a different perspective on everything.
Yes, absolutely. And I really it's so true, and it allows this critical, very important piece to liberation, particularly, um, is this idea of, like, reflection and allowing yourself to be critical of the reality that is being, uh, shown to you
Yeah.
in this world, you know,
Yeah.
in this day to day, that what society is depicting as reality. It allows you, when you tap into your body and you tap into your experiences and how those experiences are making you feel, what the material impact of those experiences are on your body, you are creating a separation between yourself and the message of the society that you're in.
Yes.
And what that does is that enables you to see the exactly what you said, your own sovereignty, and how you are not it. You are a player inside of it. You are a sovereign, autonomous being inside of these experiences, and therefore you have power to withhold your energy from these experiences, or to redirect your energy, or
Yeah.
to offer a different measure of your energy, or to change how your energy is being expressed in a situation.
Yes.
And that's what I received. That's the gift I received through human design, and the gift I continue to receive through studying liberation is this idea that we are autonomous beings inside of an experience,
Mhm.
and that how we show up is our own choice, and to take the reins of those choices not only is beneficial to us, but it's beneficial to the whole,
Yeah, that's kinda what was
right?
coming up for me as you were saying that. We are sovereign beings having our own experience that are inextricably linked to every other sovereign being on this planet.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so we are a sovereign thread in a massive spider web. And
Yeah.
if we go out, that makes the entirety of our system weaker.
Yep.
And so, as each of us comes into that healthy relationship with what it is that we are called to bring forth, whatever that lane is that we are called to be in.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
we really do this work of deconditioning so that we can show up in our true self. Our part of the web gets stronger, and it paves the way for other parts of the web to get stronger.
Yes, yes, yes. I want to, um, add another vocabulary word to this because I don't know, like, consistency definitely resonates, but for me, the language that was used to communicate consistency was discipline. And
Mm.
I'm kind of connecting it back to my roots in the
Mm.
Protestant, also also
Yeah,
as a Black
all over
woman.
chills, like
Right.
full body chills.
Woo.
Yeah.
Discipline, this idea of disciplining yourself, this idea of like holding to whatever the standard is against any type of inclination to do otherwise
Mhm.
and doing it all the time. That's the idea that was being communicated. And for me, the word that came in, I love how you said the word that came in for you to kind of break down the power that the word consistent had over you was the word devotion.
Mhm.
And for me, what broke down the power of the word discipline over me was discernment, which
Mm.
happens to be my word for the year. And the reason why discernment felt like such a liberating word as opposed to discipline was that discernment's about me
Mhm.
and my compass.
Mm.
And as a generator, my compass being my sacral,
Mhm.
that elevated, which I feel like, Rod talks about the generator be having this incredible faith, like this very sacred language that happens inside a sacral center. It is a faith language because it's not based in rationale. It's not based in even the reality of the moment. It's very much based in how my body is responding to whatever it is in front of me presently, not past
Yeah.
or future, presently.
Yeah.
And I am a spiritual person. And so this idea of discernment, this idea of like, okay, Courtney, it's really about, is this how I want my energy being used? Is this something that's going to be pleasurable and enjoyable to me through the journey of it?
Yeah.
Am I
Will it
experiencing
feel
that pleasure?
satisfying?
Yes. Will it feel satisfying? Not at the end, not the end result, which is what keeps people stuck in this idea of discipline because it's all about the sweet by and by. It's all about what you get at the end. It's all
Yeah.
about making it to the end and the reward there. That's not the reward I'm supposed to cling to.
No.
The reward needs to be right now.
Yeah. Now there will be some times where it is a delayed satisfaction situation, right? Like I
Yes.
can think of many, Liz Hayes uses this term, things we must, right? So, like
Hmm.
getting your kids out of bed in the morning. That's not particularly satisfying, but helping them on their way, getting them to school on time, like them having a great start to their day, that feels
Yeah.
satisfying. So there is
And
like
yeah.
sometimes
And
there
I
is
think
a
the
delay.
embodiment though, but I think the embodiment of those moments, again, it's like if I, first of all, if I have that pleasurable start to my day, because for me, I actually like to do some similar things every day. So if I take the time, to get up a little few minutes early, pour myself a cup of tea, and then do this, or actually in my house, my husband does a morning routine with the kids.
Yeah.
So I'm still in bed,
Yeah.
which, that's also an option too. We
Yeah.
can totally attack those gender norms and roles
Totally.
and things that our society puts on us. But I think like also in the mundane, for instance, for me, something that's mundane and can get very frustrating is dinner time.
Mm, yeah.
But it's again something where I'm tapping in and I'm looking at my energy and it's like, well, how can I make this an enjoyable experience?
Yeah.
Like
Light a
those two
candle,
things
put some
aren't,
music on,
yeah. Those two things
cook
don't have to
something
be
you're excited to
separate.
eat, you know?
Yes, the musts don't have to be pleasureless,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
It's interesting because you do have quite a bit in your chart that wires you for consistency, but
Mhm.
if we look at, so you have gate 5,
Mm.
and it's your Saturn.
Of
So
course. That
that
makes so much sense.
yes. And you also have a fine heart.
Mhm. I do.
And you have quite a bit of strategy in your mental process, your variable. You have
Mm.
3 strategic variables.
Yep.
So, but what I love is that we have like the opposing
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
but this is such a great example of why these concepts within supremacy delusion
Mhm.
are so harmful to everyone. So the
Yep.
way that it lands on you is that there are these specific things defined by an outside authority that you should be driven for,
Yep.
right? And you have the energy to be driven for it. But that
Mhm.
energy doesn't restore itself if you aren't feeling satisfied.
Yep.
And so that just puts you on a path to not self, frustration, burnout,
Yes.
right? And for
Yep.
me, I have all the inconsistency. And so that just puts me on a path to to bitterness and not self, right?
Yeah.
Um so I love this word discernment for you again because that energy
Mm.
is available for the things that your heart is in. Like
Yes.
the magic of the defined heart when it's in true self is that it goes after the things that it wants with this renewable energy. But if it's
Yeah.
not given the permission or the discernment to
Mhm.
really identify the things that you want,
Yes.
then you're chasing after things because you're quote unquote supposed to. And your
Mm.
sacral is pissed. Like your sacral is like,
It's so
no,
true,
I am not
though.
showing up to work today. So,
Yeah, she big mad. She's big mad,
for good reason.
and I can feel it. I can feel it, like, when I'm, like, in that have to place with dinner. One thing, by the way, I know this is, like, it's not tangential, but it is another way, like, the way you created or leaned into variety to achieve regularity in your movement.
Hmm. Devotion.
Me yeah, devotion, like, devoting yourself to your body as opposed to devoting yourself to this idea of exercise or
Yeah.
fitness or
Yes.
all of those, like, commodified ideas that we have
Yeah.
floating around. I did the same thing with mealtime. I did the same
Hmm.
thing with, like, if my sweet son, who's on the autism spectrum and so has very, very, very specific tastes,
Yeah.
and he also has specific tastes in his chart as well, so it's,
Yeah.
like, compounded. If he wants to eat pizza every day, I'm gonna make him pizza every day. But
Yeah.
how am I gonna make that pizza? Because I'm also a creative person,
Mm.
I also
Yeah.
have the gate of I have the channel of curiosity. So I can, like, this becomes its own little, like, pleasurable rabbit trail for me as if, like, how can I make this healthy for him? Let me sprinkle some hemp seeds in the sauce. Let me
Love
get
it.
him, like, whole wheat little naan breads to build on. Let me get the turkey
Yeah.
pepperoni instead of the regular. Let me get reduced fat cheese or whatever I gotta do to give him that experience that he's looking for in his meal.
Yeah.
And it's giving me chills just talking about it, but I'm finding pleasure in feeding him well
Yeah.
and finding pleasure in him experiencing what he needs to in his food to eat and enjoy it.
Yeah.
The same thing with my daughter. And so this is fun for me. And then I separate my fuel from all those little people. I separate my meal rather. I
Yeah.
don't eat what they eat. I don't even eat when they eat anymore. I let
Yeah.
them eat and have their time. And then
Yeah.
I make a beautiful meal for me and my partner, me and my husband.
Yeah.
I subscribe to a meals like subscription service so I can pick out these little things and I don't have to go
Yeah.
shopping for all these things. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
this is a creativity waiting inside of our differentiation.
Mm,
If we lean into our differentiation. But if we
yeah.
don't, and instead we get caught up in, oh, we all have to sit around the table together at 6 p.m. every day, and it has to look like this. It has to be a three-course meal. I tried to do that, and I almost lost my mind.
Oh my gosh.
The
The
sacral
amount
was
of
pissed.
resistance.
She was irate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
And so,
nobody is feeling
yes,
satisfied.
yeah,
Nobody's feeling
nobody's happy.
successful. Nobody's feeling peaceful.
Mm-mm,
Nobody's feeling surprised. Like
mm-mm.
everybody's feeling they're not self. Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
like I said in the beginning, I really want this episode to be a permission slip. And
Yes.
what is helpful about looking at these aspects in your chart is that, and in the chart of those that are around you, is that
Mhm,
you
mhm,
can make more space. I mean, you have shared with me multiple times how um, your husband is low determination. And so,
mhm.
he needs quiet when he's eating, and that is not
Yeah.
always available in a house with two small kids. Um, it's
True.
just not
Rarely
rarely
available.
available.
Mhm.
But it sounds like he's found a way to make that work,
Yeah.
and so just starting to get curious about these assumptions that we have
Mhm. Mhm.
of what a healthy family life looks like, and
Mhm.
when is that quality time happening. Maybe that quality time needs to happen one-on-one versus
Mm.
in a group of four of you.
Yep.
This is kind of an advanced topic, but it's helpful to know what your penta looks like. It's helpful to know
Mhm.
what are the energy dynamics when the four of you are together, so
Exactly.
that you can identify when people are getting taken into the not self and deal with that one-on-one, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, there's so many different ways to approach this that
Yeah.
can be more empowering and create more space for connection and expression, because
Yes.
that's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. Absolutely. Mm.
I love it.
This delivered for sure. It delivered for me. I hope you all enjoyed it too.
I hope so too. And we are here for all the questions or
Mhm.
additional deep dives you want to do. I hope you'll join us in Patreon and we can start
Yes.
to get some dialogue going there, or check us out on Instagram and leave us a comment. We love your reviews. Several people have left reviews
Mhm.
on Apple.
Mm. Oh my goodness.
I know. It would be fun to read some and maybe do
Yes.
like a raffle or something for people, but we can
That's a good idea.
brainstorm on that. But yeah, keep your responses coming, and we're just so grateful you're here.
We are until we meet again.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into HD and Liberation podcast. We hope you've gained valuable insights into human design and its role in building a life of peace, success, satisfaction, and wonder. If you've enjoyed this episode, please show your support by liking, following, and sharing our podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Your engagement helps us reach more people who can benefit from this wisdom. For exclusive content and to join our thriving community, consider becoming a Patreon member. Your support allows us to continue exploring the depths of human design and its potential for life and community transformation. Stay tuned for more fun, thoughtful, and impacting discussions. Together, we're unlocking the path to a more liberated and authentic life. Thank you for being part of HD and Liberation Podcast.